Ever feel like the projects you're working on are getting, well, a little out of control?
Yeah. I mean,
Like more moving parts.
we're stakeholders.
More complexity.
Definitely more complexity.
You are not alone.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into something today that's designed to help bring some order to all that chaos.
Okay.
The global market for online project management software.
Sounds good.
We've got a recent report. It's a market analysis.
Oh, cool.
And it forecasts trends all the way out to 2033.
Wow. Okay. So pretty long-term trends.
Yes.
Okay.
Our mission in this deep dive is to try to extract the key insights.
Right.
Where's this market headed?
Okay.
What are the big forces moving it?
Yeah.
And what should you, as someone who's dealing with projects in any capacity, really pay attention to?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because this report, it goes beyond just listing, the features of project management software.
Right.
It really digs into those economic forces and business trends that are shaping how we manage projects globally.
Exactly.
That's what's so interesting.
So let's start with the big picture.
Okay.
By 2025, this market is expected to reach a respectable $6,850 million US.
That's a lot.
Yes, it's good amount of money.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The projection for 2033 is 11,946.7, $2 million US.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That translates to a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 7.20%.
That's a pretty significant jump.
Yeah, it's not just a little bump. Yep. It's sustained significant expansion.
So what I find really interesting about that 7.2% CAGR is that it really suggests that this market's not just growing linearly, but we're seeing, accelerating adoption.
Right.
And the report points to a major catalyst for this: remote work.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, as more and more teams are working outside of those traditional office settings, the need for these digital tools to keep everyone on the same page, track progress, communicate effectively, that becomes absolutely essential.
Right, the glue that kind of holds it all together.
Right.
That's interesting.
So, we're talking about a huge global trend fueling this significant market growth.
So let's take a closer look at this growth.
Okay.
Let's break it down geographically, starting with North America.
Sounds good.
North America holds the biggest slice of the market right now.
Oh,
over 40% of the global market share.
Okay.
In 2025, their market size is estimated to be about $2,534.5 million US.
Okay.
And their projected CGR through 2033 is 5.7%.
Right. So still pretty good growth.
Right.
But not quite as much as the overall average.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So digging a little deeper into North America, the U.S. market is really the powerhouse there.
I would imagine so.
Accounting for $1,999.72 million US in 2025, with a CAGR of 5.5%.
Right.
The report says that the U.S. growth is being driven by the shift towards cloud-based software solutions.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, that's happening everywhere, right?
Right.
The cloud is just so convenient.
And all the constant technological innovation.
Right. New features, new capabilities all the time.
Exactly.
Makes it hard to keep up sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's definitely exciting to see.
So in Canada, they're showing strong momentum as well.
Okay.
With a market size of $304.4 million US.
Okay.
And a CAGR of 6.5%.
That's higher than the U.S.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
It seems like that demand for coordination tools is particularly strong in Canada.
It makes sense. I mean, with the the rise of remote work, teams need ways to stay connected no matter where they are.
Even Mexico is seeing some solid growth.
Oh, wow.
With a market of $230.64 million US.
Okay.
And a CAGR of 6.2%.
So North America is definitely the leader right now.
Yeah.
But with those growth rates we were talking about earlier, it seems like other regions might be catching up.
Right.
So let's move on to Europe,
Right.
which holds over 30% of the global market.
Right.
Their 2025 market size is about $1,986.5 million US.
Okay.
And they're forecasting a CAGR of 6.2% between 2025 and 2033.
So, Europe's a little bit different than North America.
In what way?
It seems like it's a more mature market.
Right.
With steady growth across a lot of different economies.
Yeah, I mean, Europe is a really diverse region, economically speaking.
Right.
So it makes sense that we'd see, different growth patterns in different countries.
Exactly. And you can really see that when you look at the numbers for individual countries.
Like what?
Well, the UK, for example, has a market of 333.73 million US dollars in 2025
Okay.
and a healthy CAGR of 7.0%.
However.
But Germany is even bigger.
Oh, wow.
393.33 million US dollars
Yeah.
and a CAGR of 6.4%.
Right.
And the report specifically mentions the rising demand in their manufacturing sector.
And that's interesting.
It makes you wonder if the increasing complexity of manufacturing these days is driving that growth.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, those
Yeah.
intricate supply chains, those
Yeah.
collaborative design processes,
Yeah.
it's clear that effective project management software is really becoming indispensable in that sector.
Right.
It helps keep everything organized and on track.
Yeah, and beyond the UK and Germany, we see France, Italy,
Right.
Russia, Spain,
Right.
the Nordic countries.
Interesting.
They're all showing their own unique growth patterns.
Right, it's not just one big monolithic market.
Exactly.
It's really a patchwork of different economies.
Okay, now let's shift gears to the Asia-Pacific region, or APAC.
Okay.
APAC currently holds about 23% of the global market,
Okay.
with the 2025 market size of 1,644 million US dollars.
Right.
But here's where the growth story really gets exciting.
Okay.
They have a projected CAGR of 9.9% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
That is big.
Yeah, so the APAC region is definitely a hot spot for growth in this sector.
It seems like it.
Yeah. And China's a major engine in that growth,
Yeah.
with a market of 690.48 million US dollars in 2025
Okay.
and a KJR of 9.4%.
Okay.
And that's being fueled by rapid industrialization and a strong push towards cloud-based technologies.
Makes sense.
But India's not far behind.
Oh, wow.
No, they have a market of 164.4 million US dollars,
Okay.
but a really impressive KGR of 11.8%.
Wow, that's a lot bigger than China's KGR.
Right, and that really highlights the focus on efficiency and streamlined workflows
Right.
in a rapidly expanding economy.
That's fascinating, that 11.8% KGR.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think is driving that such strong growth compared to even China?
Well, it's probably a bunch of factors. I mean, India has a rapidly growing digital infrastructure,
That's true.
a really tech-savvy workforce,
Yeah.
and maybe, just a greater need for efficiency gains as businesses scale up.
Yeah, and they're scaling up quickly over there.
Exactly. Plus, more and more companies in India are adopting things like agile methodologies,
Right.
which could be driving the demand for more sophisticated project management tools.
That makes sense.
And, beyond China and India, we see strong growth in Japan, South Korea, Australia,
Nice.
those vibrant Southeast Asian economies. It really highlights how project management is becoming so crucial. As these economies mature and become even more important players on the global stage.
Exactly. Okay. Now, let's not forget about South America.
Right.
They currently hold over 5% of the global market share,
Okay.
with a 2025 market size of 260.3 million US dollars and a healthy KGR of 7.9%.
So where's the growth concentrated in South America?
Well, Brazil and Argentina are leading the way.
Makes sense. Those are the biggest economies there.
Yeah, and the report highlights some specific sectors that are really driving that growth.
Like what?
Construction and manufacturing in Brazil,
Okay.
and a big focus on digital transformation in Argentina.
Interesting how those local economic priorities
Yeah,
really shape the adoption of these tools.
Yeah.
Different regions, different needs.
absolutely. Okay, so then we have the Middle East,
Okay.
which is a little bit smaller right now, at about 2% of the market share,
Okay.
and a 274 million US dollar market in 2025.
Right.
But they have a projected KGR of 8.5%.
Wow. So significant growth potential.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
And the report suggests that investments in technology infrastructure in countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE
Right.
are a big part of that growth.
That makes sense.
Okay. And then finally, we have Africa,
Okay.
which is the smallest region in this report, at about 1% of the global market
Right.
and a market size of 150.0 million in 2025.
Okay.
But they're still projected to grow at a solid 7.5% CAGR.
That's good to see.
Yeah, and South Africa is a notable market within that region.
Right. So even in regions where digital economies are maybe less developed, the need for efficient project management is being recognized.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
So overall, this geographical breakdown really paints a picture of a global trend with some really interesting regional differences.
Oh, sure.
North America and Europe might be the big players right now. Yeah. But that rapid growth in APAC and the promising expansion in other regions just shows how dynamic this market is.
It's definitely an exciting time to be in this space.
It is.
Things are changing so quickly.
Okay, so we've mapped the world.
We have.
Now let's dig a little deeper into how this market breaks down by component.
Sounds good.
Unsurprisingly, software is the dominant category here.
Right. I mean, the software itself.
Yeah.
With all its features for planning, collaborating, managing tasks, that's the core of this market.
Yeah, and the report emphasizes that the flexibility and accessibility of cloud-based solutions are really driving the demand within that software segment.
Yeah, I mean, the cloud just makes everything so much easier. You can access your project information from anywhere on any device.
It's so important in today's world. I mean,
absolutely.
We're all over the place.
Constantly on the move.
Right, exactly.
So it's no surprise that cloud-based solutions are so popular.
Yeah, but software is not the whole story, though.
Right.
That.
No.
Services are also a big part of this market.
They are.
We have professional services, like implementation and training.
Right.
And then managed services.
Okay.
And the report indicates that managed services are actually the fastest growing segment.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, you know, it probably means that a lot of organizations are realizing that they need help.
Right.
Not just buying the software, but actually using it effectively.
Yeah.
Especially in those remote work environments we were talking about earlier. It's
right.
It's like saying, we need the experts.
Right, to get the most out of it.
Yeah, for setup, ongoing maintenance, strategic guidance.
It highlights a potential opportunity for businesses that can offer that kind of expertise.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk about the size of the companies using this software.
Sounds good.
So, large enterprises are currently the ones with the largest share of the market.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they typically have bigger, more complex projects.
Right.
And they often have stricter requirements.
For things like compliance and governance.
Exactly. So they need those advanced features.
Yeah.
Like resource allocation, risk management, and real-time collaboration across these, massive organizations.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage.
For sure.
But the report also points out that the fastest growing segment by enterprise size is actually SMEs.
SMEs?
Yeah, small and medium-sized enterprises.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting shift.
So it's like they're realizing that project management isn't just for the big guys anymore.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
And it's becoming a really crucial tool for them, especially with the rise of remote work.
Right, when you need those centralized systems to keep everyone connected.
Exactly.
So it helps them improve efficiency, stay competitive, and manage their resources effectively.
And the availability of more affordable cloud-based options has probably made it easier for them to adopt these tools.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and finally, let's look at the different industries that are adopting this software.
Okay.
Currently, the IT and telecom sector is leading the way.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They're constantly working on these big, complex projects with tight deadlines and all these technical complexities.
So they need robust project management software to stay organized, coordinate their teams.
And make sure everything gets delivered on time.
Exactly. But just like with enterprise size, there's a fastest growing segment here too.
Oh, okay.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there are probably a few factors at play.
Right.
First, healthcare initiatives are getting a lot more complex.
Right. I mean, you've got
clinical trials, regulatory compliance, the implementation of electronic health records.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and all of that demands better organization and tracking.
Right, and the pandemic really accelerated the adoption of digital tools in healthcare.
It did.
So that's probably playing a role as well.
And the focus on patient care.
Yeah.
Operational efficiency.
Right, those things are becoming even more important in healthcare.
It makes project management really essential.
For sure.
Now, the report also mentions other important industries.
Like what?
Like manufacturing, construction, retail, BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance.
Right.
For example, the BFSI sector is heavily regulated.
Yeah, that's true.
So they really need strong project management software for compliance and efficiency.
So it's not just a few select industries, it's really a wide range.
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at all of these segments, we see a market that's being driven by all kinds of needs.
Right.
Across different business sizes.
And different industries.
Exactly.
Yeah, with cloud-based solutions and those specialized services we talked about playing a really big role.
Okay, now let's talk about what's actually driving all of this growth. So the report highlights a few key market drivers. The first one is the increasing complexity of projects.
Yeah, it feels like everything's getting more interconnected, more complex,
Right.
more moving parts, more dependencies.
Exactly.
It's not just simple tasks anymore.
Right. Projects involve more stakeholders.
Longer timelines, more interdependencies. And that just naturally creates a bigger demand for these sophisticated tools that can help us get a handle on everything.
Provide a more holistic view.
Exactly.
And facilitate better coordination.
Right, so we can avoid those project disasters.
Exactly. Another driver that the report highlights is the ability of these software solutions to integrate a whole bunch of different capabilities.
It's not just about task lists anymore.
Right. It's not just about checking things off a list.
Exactly. You need a platform that can do it all.
Yeah, it's about having a central hub that can handle everything.
Task management, communication, collaboration.
Resource allocation, reporting.
Well, those are seamlessly integrated.
Right.
That's where the real power comes in.
And perhaps one of the most exciting drivers is AI.
Oh, yeah. AI.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Right.
And we even have a recent real-world example of this.
Oh, really?
In April 2024.
Okay.
Asana, the well-known project management software company, they rolled out new AI-powered features.
Like what?
Things like intelligent task prioritization.
So the AI helps you figure out what to focus on first.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and predictive project timelines.
Oh, wow. So it can predict when things will be done.
Yeah.
And potentially flag any delays.
Exactly.
That's really useful.
Yeah. So this is a pretty clear sign that AI is moving beyond the theoretical and becoming a practical tool in project management.
And I bet we're just scratching the surface here. I mean, imagine AI helping with resource allocation.
Disk predict.
Automated reporting. The possibilities are pretty exciting.
They are. Okay. But of course, it's not all just growth and rainbows.
Right.
The report also points out some factors that can restrain market growth.
Like what?
Well, one is a big one that we're always dealing with.
Data security.
Yes, data security.
Yeah, that's a huge concern for any online platform.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with sensitive project information.
Right.
And, with data breaches happening all the time.
Yeah.
Organizations really need to be sure that their data is safe.
And if they're not sure, they're probably not going to adopt the software.
Right, especially in highly regulated industries.
For sure.
Another restraint that the report mentions is the challenge of getting people to actually use the software.
Yeah, I mean, a tool is only as good as the people who use it.
Exactly. A powerful tool is useless if no one knows how to use it.
So this really highlights the importance of things like user-friendly design, comprehensive training, and good support from the software companies.
Yeah, because if the interface is too complex, or if there's not enough training,
people are going to get frustrated.
And they're not going to use it.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's look ahead to the future.
Okay.
The report highlights some key trends that are shaping this market. One is the increasing demand for project management capabilities on mobile devices.
Yeah, it feels like we do everything on our phones these days.
It really does.
So it makes sense that project management would go mobile too.
Yeah, being able to access project information.
Update tasks, communicate with the team,
Yeah.
all on the go.
Yeah.
That's becoming essential.
Another trend is the growing emphasis on personalization and adaptability.
Right, because one size fits all doesn't always work.
Right. Off-the-shelf solutions are great.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies have unique needs.
Absolutely.
So they're looking for software that they can tailor to their own specific workflows, industry requirements.
Project methodologies.
Exactly. And the ability to customize features.
Right.
Integrate with other tools.
Adapt to changing project needs.
That's becoming really important.
Yeah, a key differentiator for software companies.
Exactly.
So they need to be flexible.
Okay, finally, let's touch on the competitive landscape.
Okay.
The report notes that the major players are constantly innovating.
Makes sense. They're all trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, to offer the best features.
The best user experience.
We already talked about Asana's AI features.
Right.
The report also mentions Hive.
Hive, okay.
They acquired a company called SquidHub.
SquidHub, I haven't heard of them.
They're a European project management software company.
Oh, okay.
Based in Denmark.
Gotcha.
And that was back in July 2021.
Okay, a while ago now.
Yeah, and this move was probably aimed at expanding Hive's presence in the European market.
Right. Makes sense.
And maybe incorporating SquidHub's technology or their user base.
Yeah, strategic acquisitions like that can be really effective for growth.
Right. And Hive also introduced a free membership tier.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of software companies are doing that these days.
Yeah, offering free trials.
Freemium models.
Exactly.
It's a good way to attract new customers.
It is.
Give them a taste of what the software can do.
Yeah, lowers the barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways that we should remember?
Okay.
Well, we've seen a big and growing global market for online project management software.
Yeah. And it's being driven by these huge trends.
Like remote work and increasingly complex projects.
Exactly. And the APAC region and the healthcare sector, they're showing really strong growth.
Yes. And from a market segmentation standpoint, managed services seem to be a really promising area.
Yeah, it shows that companies need help.
Yeah, not just with the software itself,
but with the expertise to use it effectively.
Exactly. And large enterprises might be the biggest users right now.
Yeah.
But SMEs are catching up quickly.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, it is.
It means that project management is becoming more accessible.
Exactly.
To businesses of all sizes.
And while IT and telecom might be leading the industry right now, healthcare is on a fast track for growth.
So no matter what role you play in projects, understanding these market dynamics can really help you make better decisions.
About the tools and strategies that you use.
Exactly, because the right tools can make a huge difference.
They can.
In your productivity, your efficiency.
And ultimately your success.
So as we wrap up, I want you to consider this.
Okay.
We're seeing all these rapid advancements in online project management software.
Right. AI, mobile capabilities.
Different adoption patterns in different regions.
Yeah.
So what are some of the unexpected ways that these tools might evolve?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
To address the ever-changing world of collaboration and productivity.
Right. And how might these global trends impact your work?
Yeah.
Or the industry you're in? It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Lots to ponder.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.